Whispering Game Collection video today. The Nintendo 64 this time. Obviously, I did a bunch of these a couple of months back. Actually, God, when was it? It probably was over the summer, maybe like June, July, that I was pumping out a bunch of the game collections, but with gum chewing, of course. And but now I'm doing some whispering. People have been kind of digging. The few I've done, I think I did with Switch 360 and original Xbox. So I want to do PS5 as well, and maybe like one other one after that. I don't feel like doing the Xbox One. It's too big of a collection, and sometimes I need to be in the mood. That's not to say I won't do it at a point, but not for a little bit. Anyway, I only have 9 games here. This is a system I'd like to get more for. Back in the day, I had a good collection when I originally had my Nintendo 64. I had done I had a lot of games. A lot of good games, too. Some of which I have again here. Most of which I don't. And some I want to pick up still. Like, F-Zero. Was it F-Zero X? Was the one on the 64. Star Fox 64. Wouldn't mind getting a copy of Mario 64 and a copy of Ocarina of Time. They're not overly pricey. Maybe even get another copy of GoldenEye. But I don't really need that. Because I do have it through the Rare Replay, I believe. And a couple other ones, obviously. But some of these, I'll tell you the ones I had when I was younger. But this is one I did not. I rented this back in the day, though. But it is, World Is Not Enough. I picked it up. This one, I don't know if this is a Christmas gift. Either way, it would have been, or I got myself, it would have been purchased at the Video Game Trading Post in Bayshore, in the South Shore Mall in New York. But yeah, blue cartridge for this one. This is just following the movie. It's pretty good from what I played of it. It's not as good as GoldenEye. It doesn't flow as well, I feel, as GoldenEye. This is the Rare made GoldenEye, and then EA, I guess, had the license or whatever. I don't know. This is back when I think Bond for a while. Like so many people, I think, had a piece of like the Bond license. It was weird. Now it's just straight up owned by Amazon. But Pierce Brosnan here, you're playing through it. You're playing through the movie. I started off with like the attack on MI6 and shit, and you're busting through there and stuff. When I played it was pretty cool. It was still a solid shooter. Apparently it's a lot better than the PlayStation version of the game. I don't know. I've only read that. This is one I did have and enjoy when I was a kid. This is obviously not my original copy. This is another one that came from the Video Game Trading Post in Bayshore, Castlevania. Somebody scribbled in the T, and there's a little bit of tape over here. I like this game. People shit on this game. It reviewed actually alright when it came out. People apparently hated it. I liked it back then when I had it. I thought it was pretty good. You can play as 2 people. I forget their names. A guy and a girl. I cannot remember either of their names, though. I originally, when I had it back in the day, I played it with whoever the dude was. It was cool at the time. It was like 3D Castlevania. You're like, holy shit. It looked great at the time. I remember the last boss fight being like a giant dragon type thing, I think. Or some kind of creature. It was like kind of in the desert almost. It was weird. But you're going through the castle. You start off outside the castle and you make your way in. You're doing stuff in there. I liked it. And pretty good music as always with these. But they did make a second one. Legacy of Darkness, maybe. That one reviewed a little better, but people still kind of shit on that. That one is a lot more expensive than this. This you can get for like $25, $30. That one's probably $100. And they just called this Castlevania. I mean, people ended up calling it Castlevania 64 because that's what you did. It was like on the Super Nintendo. It was super. Everything was super. Most of them were actually called that, but some that weren't, people would still call super. But Castlevania. Rogue Squadron. The first Rogue Squadron, Star Wars Rogue Squadron. This is another one I think I rented once back then. I don't think I ever owned this back then. But it's Rogue Squadron. You're playing throughout Star Wars levels, and you're using different vehicles. The X-wing here, you're probably using the A-wing and the B-wing and the Y-wing and other ones. I don't know if you do a mission with the whatever that thing is on Tatooine. I can't remember what it's called. That was in other game. Was that in this, or was that another game? I think it was another game. Maybe it was like Rebel Assault. There was a game where you had to go through the freaking. You had to fly this thing. You're on Tatooine, so you had to go. I forget what the vehicle's called. But you have to like go through little canyons and stuff. I can't remember what that was. Was it this? Was it something else? It could have been multiple games. Here's another one I had rented and then picked up off eBay a couple of years ago. Mission Impossible. This is based on the first movie. Surprisingly, you don't get a lot of Mission Impossible games. There's this one. There was one on the PS2, Xbox, and Cube, Operation Surma, which I have on the PS2. There was one on the NES back in the day. And there was probably one floating around on the Atari or something, but you don't get a lot of Mission Impossible games. This is another game people didn't like. I liked, but I played of it. I will say, the part I got up to back then when I rented it was the part in the movie when you're lowered down on the wires and you gotta get that thing, you can't touch the ground. I was getting annoyed at that part, admittedly. The other stuff was cool. You get different disguises on and stuff, and you're doing stuff. You're just running around, doing objectives and shit. But what I played of it, I liked, although that part was getting annoying, admittedly. I should tap on some of these, right? Tapping sounds alright on these cartridges. I do have the manual for this. It came in that garage sale I got when I got one of the games here. I'll show at the end. And the boxes and manuals for Ogre Battle 64 and Paper Mario that were not in there, but still the boxes and manuals hold a good amount of value themselves. But it had like a couple of, like 4 other manuals in there, 2 of which I sold. There was a Harvest Moon one I sold. But the Donkey Kong was in there. Mission Impossible was in there. And Scoop was in there. And it might have been it. Mission Impossible. This is a game I did have as a kid, but it was the black cartridge, I believe. Scooby-Doo, Night of Oh, no, this is just, sorry, wrong system. Scooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers. This does have a little rip on the back. This also came from the Video Game Trading Post. I loved this game when I first got it. I think I got it, was it 2000, Christmas 2000? I got this in Majora's Mask. I want to say it was 2000. It's like playing through the show. It's more point and click like the Genesis one. It is not like those, you can't even say more recent, the ones from the PS2 era or the Super Nintendo one that was also a platformer, which isn't bad. I have that one on the Super Nintendo. The Game Boy Color version of this is a straight up kind of point and click game. This is a point and click game essentially, but you have more movement than that. It's not, you don't have all the buttons you gotta push, I'm pretty sure, in this, but it's like pull, push, stuff like that. But you play Shag and Scoob and you're going through pretty much what the episodes of the show almost. It's the one where you're in the museum. I think you're dealing with the Black Knight. I want to say you're in the Snowy Mountains with the Abominable Snowman. I think that's in this. The one with the, in Hawaii you're in, with the Tiki guy, I forget what he is. Was he a witch doctor or something? Was that what he was? It's short. This game's short, unfortunately. I think there might only be 3 kind of little episodes, and then the 4th thing. There's either 4 or 3. I think it's 3. And the last thing, you gotta save the rest of the group. You gotta save Fred, Daphne, and Velma at the end. So it's not like an official kind of thing. You're not like collecting items kind of and doing it. But it was really cool. I would love to see more Scoob games like this, but there hasn't been a Scoob game in a while, I believe. This one I had when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure. I definitely rented it, but I'm pretty sure I owned it at some point. Wetrix, awesome puzzle game. This one was also on the Dreamcast, I believe. Maybe it was on PC. This game, water's falling. There's like a kind of a piece of land, whatever you want to call it. And water's dropping down. and you have to build. You get certain blocks. They're coming down. Like you use it, and then a new one comes. You got to pick from. You have to pick, you have to use it, and you have to put these things. Like there'll be blocks, there'll be water, there'll be bombs, stuff like that. But you want to build around this kind of platform thing, this piece of land, whatever it is. And you can't let the water's got you. Water lands in there. You got to keep the water in there. Water goes over the side. Your meter goes up, and then it's game over when it busts to the top. That's why sometimes little bombs will drop. They blow holes in your little land, and you got to patch that up with a new piece. You got to build little kind of lakes inside this thing. Get water in there. Oh, ice will come down and freeze the stuff. Then flame will unfreeze it and stuff. Really cool puzzle game. It's fun as hell. I would pick this up on either of those systems or emulate it, whatever you want to do to play it. It's not an overly expensive game. I don't think it's expensive on the Dreamcast either. And it's really cool, just the way you got to keep it in there. I think earthquakes will come too, maybe. But it was cool, like building up your walls and keeping your water from getting out and stuff. It's a really good game. Actually, yeah, these are both Ocean published. I don't know if they developed them both. I don't think Ocean's still around. Last three. Another game I had as a kid. Turok, Dinosaur, into the first one here. Really cool game. When I first had this, you needed to save on a memory card in this one. Like Mario 64 I had, and Shadows of the Empire, and something else. I had a couple. Did I have enough? Maybe I just had those two at the time. I might have had Wave Race as well, actually. I think Wave Race came out before this, but I could be wrong. But they were saved. They had saves on the card itself. This you needed the memory pack for. And I didn't have one at the time. So I'd be playing this as long as I could. And then I wasn't able to save. So I was like, I can't keep playing this. I finally got a memory card, memory pack. And started playing it. And I was able to save. It's a cool game. It's very open. It's a very open shooter. It was fun as hell at the time. I did play some of this one. And it was just a really cool game. Acclaim published this one. Acclaim's gone too, right? Or did someone try to bring them back? Was it like Jeff Jarrett or no? Was it Jeff Jarrett, the wrestler, or was it somebody like an athlete in a sport? Somebody I think brought back the Acclaim name. I think. I don't know if it was him or somebody else. I can't remember. Turok Dinosaur, cool game. Indiana Jones, The Infernal Machine. This is my original copy. Got it from Blockbuster, because that's really the only place it released from. Due to glitches or something, because this game is glitchy. Like I've said a million times. One of my favorite games of all time. It's a top 5 favorite game of all time for me. I love this game. My friend and I played this. We would switch off. And then, when we weren't the one controlling it, we would try to help out and give each other tips and stuff. We had another friend in there who would throw out tips from time to time. 2 of which worked. But he would always watch. He was invested in it as well. We played this a ton, and we did not look up anything online. You still could back then, but we didn't cheat at all on this. So sometimes if we couldn't figure something out, we'd be playing for 2 days and finally figure it out. So we made the game longer than it was, but it is cool. It has glitches, especially the part where you're on the raft and you get stuck on this rock, and you just get stuck, and you just hear the float, the raft popping, poots, and you use your patch and you just hear poots, poots. That was a glitch. You'd get stuck. There was other ones where he would just fall in the environment or just be stuck on a rock and stuff. It did have glitches and it was buggy. But man, it was a cool game, finding little treasures. And each level had treasures you could find. Just doing the things, finding what you needed to do. Varied levels in the jungle. You're in a volcano. You're in the desert in the beginning doing basic archaeological stuff. I hate that word, archaeological stuff. It involves aliens, this one. I'm pretty sure it's aliens at the end. Way before Crystal Skull. Because I think you end up on a ship at the end of it. It's been a while since I played this game a couple of times, but the last time I think it was 05 or something. I did start playing it after that, but I only got up to a certain point. You're in bases, the enemy bases and stuff. At points, you're going underwater. doing stuff. You're on ship, half-sunken ships. There's a lot of cool stuff in this game. Like I said, you're in the snowy mountains at one point with a raft and stuff. It's a great game, even with the bugginess. I love it. It's one of my favorite. And the last game, this came from that garage sale, and I will tell the story that I've told 20 times probably on this channel, but I will do it again. No Mercy for the N64. I don't know if anybody, once again, I ask this whole time, if you're into wrestling and you could recognize that autograph. I think it might be Jericho's, but I have no idea. I was looking it up. I got to do it again, actually, and take a picture of this and Google Lens it and see. But this copy, you're not going to be able to see it. You can... I got to fuck with the manual thing here. Try to just get a better... No. You see the USA 1 there? Now, I was in GameStop the other day. I think I mentioned this, but I did not... I saw they had some, actually in a case, some retro games. And this was in there, and I looked to see if it had the one, because I would have bought it. It was $30. Because normally this game sells for $25, $30, the regular version, but it didn't. Because I would have bought it right there if it did. This one, apparently, I didn't know this. I got it from the garage sale. It was $10 for this game. The boxes and the manuals for the other stuff, the other games. But I did it because, mainly for the Ogre Battle and the Paper Mario box and manuals, could each sell for over $100 themselves combined. You sell them box and manuals for $100. Part of me wants to get the games for them, even though the games are like $100 each, and just throw them in there, and all of a sudden they become like $300. It'd still be a big profit. But I just had this game, popped it on briefly. I didn't play it much. I didn't play much of it. And then I'm like, maybe I'll sell it. It's like a $30 game. I feel like selling it. I'm like, let me look this up first to see it. And I see a couple of ones sell for like $250, $300. And I'm looking it up, and it's the USA 1. Now, apparently, some of these copies had problems in it where you couldn't save, or it would freeze the game, and it just didn't work, whatever it was. And people would send it back into THQ, and they would send them back the USA 1 copy that worked. So that's why it's valuable. Clearly, a lot of people didn't end up doing this. Or a lot of people might have this game. If you have this game, and you had to send it in, let me know. Because you probably got a USA 1, and it has like $250, $300 worth of value if it sells. A lot of these aren't listed, and they don't sell often. It's part of the reason I'm not wasting my time trying to list it. I have no reason to at the moment. If I have to, I will. And once again, about the autograph, let me know. That could hurt the value of the game, or help it. Let me know if you recognize that, if you're a wrestling fan and you recognize that autograph. But yeah, it's a story behind this. It is a classic wrestling game, though. There's a lot of good ones on the N64. I did play the WCW ones, World Tour and Revenge. WCW NWO World Tour and Revenge. Those are the ones my friends and I played. We'd play like the little Royal Rumble, the Battle Royal, the 4 players, 4 controllers. And there was this one, there was WrestleMania 2000. ECW, I think, had one. There's a couple other, maybe like Backstage Assault. WCW might have like 3 or 4. And WWF probably had like 3 or 4. They were WWF at the time still. But yeah, that is my small N64 collection. I do want to get more. If I see good prices, I have kind of my rules on how much I'm going to spend on these things. I don't ever want to spend more than $50 on any of these games, preferably under $40. And there's a lot of games you can get for under $40 still. Like I said, F-Zero, Star Fox, Ocarina of Time's a little more expensive. I'd have to check Mario 64 and see what that's been selling for these days. Like even GoldenEye's $30 to $40. So a lot of them are still cheap. Not cheap, but they're not $100 games. But anyway.